When people talk about the Lost Colony of Roanoke, they often begin with questions. What happened to them? Where did they go? Who was responsible? But tonight, we're not starting with questions. Tonight, we're starting with something quieter. Because before Roanoke became a mystery, before it became a theory, before it became a debate, it became silent. And silence has a way of staying. In the late 16th century, Roanoke was not meant to be legendary. It was meant to be practical, a settlement, a place to live, a foothold in unfamiliar land. This was not an expedition of soldiers or treasure seekers. It was a community. Men, women, and children crossed the Atlantic not to explore, but to remain. They brought tools. They brought habits. They brought the quiet expectation that tomorrow would look like today. Roanoke began as an ordinary attempt to build a future. And that is what makes what followed so unsettling. Daily life at the colony would have been simple and repetitive. Homes constructed from wood, paths worn slowly into the earth, meals prepared from limited supplies, work divided by daylight. There were no grand monuments, no dramatic ceremonies, just people adapting, learning, waiting for support, waiting for ships, waiting for reassurance that they had not been forgotten. And then they were. John White, the governor of the colony, left with the promise of return. Supplies were needed. Support was essential. The departure was meant to be temporary. But time, distance, and circumstance intervened. Ships were delayed. Wars shifted priorities. The Atlantic stretched wider than planned. What was supposed to be weeks became years. And the colony waited. When White finally returned, he did not arrive to celebration. He did not arrive to voices calling from the shore. He did not arrive to signs of life. He arrived to emptiness. Buildings stood, but people did not. Paths existed, but no one walked them. Homes remained, but no one lived inside. The settlement was dismantled, not destroyed. There were no signs of violence, no signs of panic, no signs of struggle, just absence. The word Croatoan was found carved into a post. It is often treated as a clue, a key, an answer waiting to be unlocked. But tonight, we're not treating it that way. Because even if the word points somewhere, it does not explain why no one returned. It does not explain why no message followed. It does not explain why silence remained complete. Silence is unsettling because it refuses to guide us. When something is destroyed, we understand loss. When something ends violently, we understand finality. But when something simply stops, when it leaves no clear trace, we are left without direction. Roanoke did not scream. It did not collapse. It faded. No bodies were found. No tools abandoned mid-use. No fires left burning. The colony seemed to have been carefully taken apart, as if the people knew they were leaving, as if they believed they would not be missed for long, as if return was expected, and yet no return ever came. History struggles with silence. Historians prefer documents, records, and testimony. They prefer voices. Roanoke left none. No diaries survived, no final letters, no first-hand accounts. What remains is a space where voices should be. Over time, theories filled that space. Assimilation, migration, conflict, disease. Each theory tries to replace silence with explanation, but none of them restore the missing voices. They only remind us how much is gone. What is most unsettling about Roanoke is not that people disappeared. People disappear throughout history. What unsettles us is how completely they disappeared. An entire community, not a ship, not a crew, not an expedition, but families, children, lives mid-sentence. Imagine returning to a place you once knew, a door you once opened, a path you once walked, and finding it unchanged, except for the absence of everyone you remember. No sign of farewell, no sign of distress, only the quiet confirmation that something ended without you. Silence forces us to sit with uncertainty. It denies closure. Roanoke does not ask us to solve it. It asks us to accept that some histories refuse explanation. Over centuries, the site became less a location and more an idea, a name that signals disappearance, a reminder that not everything leaves a record. Roanoke became a shadow cast backward through time, and perhaps that is why it still lingers. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is unresolved, because it represents the uncomfortable truth that history is incomplete, that entire lives can pass and leave almost nothing behind. We often think of history as permanent, written, recorded, preserved. Roanoke reminds us that history can also dissolve, quietly, without permission. The lost colony does not haunt us with what happened. It haunts us with what did not. No explanation, no certainty, no final moment, just silence. And silence, once established, is difficult to undo. It spreads, it settles, it becomes part of the landscape. Perhaps that is why Roanoke still feels unfinished. Not because we lack information, but because the story itself never ended properly. Tonight, we're not closing that story. We're acknowledging it, sitting with it, letting the silence remain what it has always been. Unanswered. This has been Night Archive. Thank you for listening.